The highest members of clergy are ready to appoint the successor of Pope Francis in a secret ballot procedure. How is the Pope selected, and why is the race to become the sovereign of Vatican highly unpredictable? Our next report telling you more.
Catholic cardinals are set to elect Pope Francis's successor at a grand conclave. The conclave could have opened as early as May 5th, but the cardinals gave themselves 2 more days to speak in more informal sessions that include cardinals over age 80. The College of Cardinals that will elect a new pope includes members from far-flung corners of the globe whom Francis named over his 12-year papacy. The race to become the next pope is laced with uncertainty, mainly because Pope chose 80% of these cardinals with varying backgrounds and different political ideologies, with some being conservatives and the others being liberal.
We talked about it with the family when we walked here to the Vatican, and we hope it will be a pope from Asia or Africa. Catholicism is growing over there, and we believe it can be a support for the people over there when there will be an African or an Asian pope.
135 cardinals will secretly vote to decide on the next head of the 1.4-Billion-Member church. As a first step, Vatican has closed the Sistine Chapel, where the voting will take place. A 2/3 majority is traditionally required to elect a new pope, and voting continues until this threshold is met. Randomly selected cardinals oversee the votes, cast via secret ballots. After each round, the ballots are burned with chemicals producing either black or white smoke, signaling to the world the outcome. Black smoke represents that no decision has been made, while white smoke means a new pope has been elected. Once the pope is chosen, a top cardinal announces his name from St. Peter's Basilica. What's interesting is that this process can take hours or even days.
I believe this will be a fairly quick conclave, in the sense that the cardinals, I think and hope, will agree fairly quickly on the name of the future pope. This would also be a beautiful sign of harmony and unity.
The longest modern conclaves in 1903 and 1922 each stretched to 5 days. While the duration of this secret voting remains a mystery, what's certain is the appointment of 266th successor of the Roman Catholic Church.
In other news, a $60 million Navy fighter jet fell from USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier as it veered to avoid fire from the Houthis. This comes as the Yemen-based Houthis continue to hit back at American forces despite relentless attack by the United States of America. Our next story takes a closer look at the cost of war and the rising fatalities in Yemen. Take a look.
Under the cover of night, US fighter jets roar off the decks of aircraft carriers. Laden with missiles destined for Yemen. American fighter jets have been pounding Houthi targets. Missiles from US aircraft carriers have been targeting Yemen. Since March 15th, over 800 Houthi targets have been struck, yet the Iran-backed rebels remain undeterred. The Iran-backed fighters continue to down US drones and launch ballistic missiles towards Israel, showcasing a resilience that questions the efficacy of America's military strategy. The finance toll is staggering. 7 MQ-9 Reaper drones, each valued at $30 million, have been lost near Yemen since mid-March. Now an Fa-18E Super Hornet, worth approximately $60 million, lost in the Red Sea during a towing mishap aboard the USS Harry S. Truman. The exact details of the turn the Truman made to avoid the Houthi fire have not been released. This incident marks the second Super Hornet loss for the Truman strike group, following a friendly fire incident in December. In February, the Truman collided with a merchant ship near Egypt. No injuries were reported. US Navy carriers are the world's largest warships at nearly 1,100 feet long. They have a displacement of almost 100,000 tons. Beyond the monetary costs, the human toll is rising. A US missile strike in Sada reportedly killed at least 68 African migrants and injured dozens more, drawing international condemnation.
Yemen's Houthi rebels have alleged that a U.S. airstrike has hit a prison in Yemen, killing at least 68 people there. This prison was housing African migrants, and Ethiopians and others from East Africa long have used Yemen as a route to get into Saudi Arabia for work.
Despite claims of targeting Houthi infrastructure, civilian casualties have mounted, fueling criticism of the US campaign's precision and objectives. The Houthis, far from being subdued, have intensified their operations. They've launched ballistic missiles at Israel.
In response to this aggression and its crimes against civilians, the Yemeni armed forces targeted the American aircraft carrier Truman and its accompanying warships, engaging them in a joint operation carried out by the naval forces, the drone air force, and the missile force. The operation involved several cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and drones over the past hours.
Despite the relentless air campaign, the Houthis are still a fighting force, downing drones, launching missiles, and surviving the world's most advanced military onslaught. The Red Sea chaos has exposed the limits of American might and the staggering price of war with no end in sight. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Carried out by the naval forces, the drone air force, and the missile force. The operation involved several cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and drones over the past hours.
Despite the relentless air campaign, the Houthis are still a fighting force, downing drones, launching missiles, and surviving the world's most advanced military onslaught. The Red Sea chaos has exposed the limits of American might and the staggering price of war with no end in sight. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
All right, US President Donald Trump began his second term at the Oval Office at a very fast pace. From reshaping America's ties with Russia to declaring a trade war with China, the world is feeling the impact of US President's 100 days in the White House. Trump has used his presidential pen more than any other US president in modern history. He has signed a record 140 executive orders during his first 100 days in office, including 36 of them in his first week at the White House itself. When Trump took oath as the 47th President of the United States of America, he promised that the decline of America is over. He vowed that Americans will get access to cheaper goods. Inflation in US has been falling since a peak of 9.1% in 2022. It was at 3% in January, the month Trump was inaugurated, and 2.4% in March. Trump claims he has solved the inflation crisis. However, the Federal Reserve warned that the president's tariff plans will most likely lead to higher prices by taxing foreign imports. Republican leader also promised to launch a mass deportation drive to expel all illegal migrants from the country. Reports suggest that the number of immigration arrests at workplaces has tripled since Trump took office. So far, he has sent over 200 Venezuelan migrants who Trump's administration accuses of belonging to Tren de Aragua criminal gang to a prison in El Salvador. Now, during his campaign trail, Trump promised peace between Russia and Ukraine merely by winning the election. He even claimed that he would end the war in 24 hours. Even though Trump's administration has not been able to put an end to the war, US President was able to mediate an energy ceasefire between the two nations. Trump did not wait to return to the White House before threatening China, Canada, and Mexico with sweeping tariffs. While Trump has repeatedly pulled back from brink of an all-out economic war with most countries, China is the only exception. U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods stand at 245%. Trump also promised to pardon Capitol Hill rioters, and so far, U.S. President has issued more than 1,500 pardons or commutations to people convicted in connection to the January 6th attack on Capitol Hill.